Cold turkey is wonderful on sandwiches, but as far as breaking habits go, guys, I got a better solution for you this new year. And I'm, of course, talking about my sponsor, Fume. Fume is an amazing, award-winning, innovative, flavored air device. And it's built to help you part ways with old habits. Instead of electronics, vapors, and harmful chemicals, Fume is completely natural, and it uses flavored air. This is a habit you can feel free to enjoy, and it makes replacing your bad habit very easy. This will fill the void in a natural, guilt-free way. It's easy, enjoyable, and it's even fun. Fume has served over 150,000 customers and has tens of thousands of success stories. And there's no reason that the next success story can't be you. Your Fume comes with an adjustable airflow dial. This is so satisfying. Do you hear that? It's so satisfying to play with this thing. And it's designed with removable parts, and it's also got magnets for fidgeting. Pick up the Journey Pack today. Try it for yourself. Go to tryfume.com/Chael. That's going to get you 10% off. Or scan the QR code just as easy. Make sure you use the code Chael to get that 10% discount. Ariel Helwani has just stated on the MMA Hour, which lasts more than 60 minutes. Play with that one. While you're thinking about that, think about this. He claims that the number one fight the UFC would like for 300 is Leon Edwards versus Chimaev. Now, for Ariel to say it, it would have been checked, confirmed, and reconfirmed. Make sure you understand what he's saying. So I'm going to repeat the quote. The number one fight the UFC would like to have right now for UFC 300 is a title fight between Chimaev and Leon Edwards. Now, the reason I just want to make sure that you understand each one of those words matter is this is moving. So 2 weeks ago, just by example, when Dana, it kind of looked like, might let the cat out of the bag and people were trying to pull it out of him. He's going to hold on to this information a little bit longer. It could have been a very different answer then. In fact, he might have not even been looking at the welterweight division. It can be completely different. I personally can tell you, for sure and without question, they went for Izzy versus DDP. I feel confident in telling you that's the main event. I must disclose to you, they never actually told DDP or Izzy it was the main event. Everybody assumed it, but they never actually said it. Jon Jones stated as recently as over the weekend that he was wanted for a main event. I don't believe him. I don't believe he was told main event. Now, he would have been. I do get that. I'm sharing for you that specific detail is a little bit loose. So when Ariel comes out and he says, as of today, that's the one, then that means it's the one. And it doesn't mean it's the one 1 hour from now. It means it's the one. Ariel will know. And the issue does not appear to be Chimaev and the weight class, of which Chimaev has not made the weight class for well over a year, of which Chimaev has not made the weight class in 3 weigh-ins. So it's a lot to bet. Right, guys, don't forget the 178 business. So for that fight, he does not weigh 170. And for his last fight, which is the number one contendership at 185, which is, he looked wonderful, by the way. Lean, strong, looked the whole bit. It was not 170 pounds. He's got to make scratch weight. This is a guy that hasn't made it in 3. Owen, by the way, did try one of them and had an 8-pound fail, and you're going to bring him back to the same jurisdiction, but for a lot higher stakes. It's just a very interesting move. I have no problem with it. It's an interesting move. Can we all agree on that? Okay. And allegedly the bigger problem is not the weight, which would be for me. It's not the weight. It's getting into the country. Apparently, some of those visa issues and travel restrictions that we keep hearing about that nobody will confirm or deny for us, apparently appears to be some legs to that. All right. Now, I love when a fight like that gets made or a fight like that gets announced because of all the things that it tells us, right? And it doesn't overly matter. Like if Ariel's information is true, it doesn't matter if that fight happens or it doesn't happen. If that's the fight that they went for, then you have an absolute pan to Blal. And I just don't think that Muhammad's done anything wrong. In fact, I think Belal Muhammad has done everything right. I think the UFC, to go a step further, wishes they had an entire roster of guys like Muhammad. I know that there is a continued narrative that it is a referendum on him. But I just can't think of anywhere he went wrong. I can't think of anything he did wrong. I can't think of him more of a team player. I can't think of more of a strategist. I can't think of a guy that built his name and built his brand. If you look at where Muhammad was at a year ago, there was no bigger star. In fact, there's only a comparison to one. And that's if you go back 1 year. If you would like to go back 2 years, go ahead. It's still Muhammad and it's still versus Sean Strickland. If you look at where they were versus where they are, there is nobody that has put a gap like those two. So I don't totally believe that Muhammad has done something wrong. There does, if this is accurate, appear to be a full-scale initiative to get the belt off Leon. So, and I don't think Leon's done anything wrong. Leon's just now getting over. His press conferences are interesting for the first time, and I understand that was largely because of Colby, but either way, the numbers are there. The arena was sold out. The pay-per-view did very good. In fact, it did 25% better than it was expected to do. I just don't know how many numbers are actually against Leon, but guys, they must be there. I mean, there appears to be a mad dash to get that belt off him. So now let's just say you put Leon and Chimaev. Of course, you're going to have the concern that I already raised. Are you going to lose your main event the day before? Are you going to lose it at the scale? There's very good reason to be very nervous that you are. So, do you bring it back up? Yeah, of course you do. That's how you solve that problem. Is it Belal? Right? Rude is rude. Disrespect is, like, there's only so much you could do. How many times has Belal been the actual, thought he was the guy, done what he needed to be? I mean, it's one of those things. Now I'm going to come in and assist for a spot that's already mine. You're calling me for another favor. It's interesting. That's all. There's drama around it. That's all. And it appears to be the thing for today. But you have a lot of fighters out there that would like this spot, right? I am the first to come out publicly and tease an entire roster for not trying to get this spot. For openly being aware, I'm not interesting enough. Not a big enough star. It's not I'm not good enough, by the way. Never. It's never, oh, this guy's won, these guys got 10 more wins. I mean, nobody knows what your records are. Nobody. I had more fights than all of you, just to personalize. I don't know what my record was. I know I was completely undefeated, but I don't know how many men I beat. I do not know, and that is not meant to be satire, at least not the whole thing. I don't know what my record was. I don't know how many times I did that. When I tell you nobody knows your record, my mother wouldn't know my record if you called her right now. Like, it's very important that you really do understand. It all comes down to one thing, interesting. That's it. It's not good. It's not skill. It's not experienced. Does the crowd find you interesting? Generally, in the fight game, if you're not good at fighting, they don't find you interesting. Generally. So you don't really have to have this discussion. They go hand in hand. But if you were forced to dissect them, make no mistake. So when you have a roster full of guys that aren't going for this position, it's because they recognize, the crowd doesn't find me interesting. Fair enough. Fair enough. I don't need to fully embarrass you and make you go out there and go for something that you're going to know that you're going to get a no back. Hey, look, you just found out the stakes. They're not quite as high as you thought they were. If Leon versus Chimaev is the number one leading idea, come on, guys. There's some of you out there that are sitting on an idea better than that one. Bring it forward now. That's the message here. Make no mistake. If that is the leading candidate and all guns are in that direction, it's not going to stay there long. They're going to know by end of business today. Can he get to weight? Can he get into the country? Is the hand healed? Yes or no? Today. And they're going to move on. And I will assure you, they're already moving on possible ons. They're looking for the right one. Now, if you're watching this and you're a fighter and you come to Uncle Chael, for Professor Chael, for the teachings that I and only I can give, you're right to understand that you are an interchangeable mediocrity. You are right to do that. But you're also right to know that you and a specific opponent is likely as interesting as Leon versus Chimaev. And one thing that a promoter will always do is try to get a roadmap. So you don't just book it today, you book it for what it can become. That's where Izzy and DDP becomes your main event. It's a decent fight today. It's not the one that people want, you guys want Strickland. But when these guys start building, if it's anything like their previous build, this will be so red hot it'll melt the airwaves. Chimaev and Leon, whatever interest you have in it now is the interest that you're going to have when the date rolls around. So, not for nothing, if you're coming to Professor Chael, find yourself, it's an opponent, but it's also a partner. You know where the bar's at. You know what you're competing with. 300's around the corner. You want an opportunity or not. This is the time. This is the time to take that shot.